Good afternoon, YouTube. This is Tired Metalhead Weatherman. Hope you guys are having a good Thursday. I don't know if I said it was Wednesday yesterday or Thursday or not. Got my days mixed up, I think. But in either case, hopefully you guys are doing well. You guys are staying dry in these if you're in an area where there is expected to be any sort of severe weather or heavy rain. Today we're doing a long range forecast. Plenty to talk about on the severe side here. Stuff to talk about as well in regards to the tropics. You can see how many tabs I'm adding up. I've continued to just put on here, so just kind of goes to show how active are currently right now. If you listen real closely, you probably can hear the heavy rain going on outside of my window. So, yeah, we got some rain coming through my area right now. Talked yesterday about there being two slight risk areas for severe weather. One here around the eastern part of the country, with all hazards possible. Although the threat levels are very low with all of them, except for this one area where they had this tornado watch issued. I don't expect this to last for too much longer, but it could progress a little bit off to the north and east possibly. But we're also checking for this next upcoming upper level low to jumpstart a little bit of severe weather around the northwest today. That being said, let's get into all of this. We're going to go over all 5 days of all 5 upcoming days where we see severe hazards. And then we're going to take a look at all the models, and we're going to take a look at the tropics. So we look at day 1. We're just looking at the hazard types. We already know what's going on, and lo and behold, this is actually brand new. They put this 5% over here in the central part of the Tennessee Valley, heading into Kentucky. So anywhere from Nashville, Bowling Green, Louisville, even sneaking into areas of Ohio, Cincinnati, you're in it as well. There's a 5% risk of a tornado in 25 miles of a given point now. So things are developed. Things are in progress here. Now, wind threat has not changed. Neither has the hail. If anything, the hail threat is diminished on the eastern side of this storm system. The main threat, I was expecting it to be damaging winds and maybe a tornado, but tornado threat's ramped up, but the hail threat has gone down. But it's not surprising considering how much this upper level low has so much spin associated with it. Let's go to day 2. Our storm threat pushes off to the east. We've already gone over this. I'm going to take a little bit more notice of this area. I do think there is potential for a slight risk to get issued, especially towards the central and eastern parts of this as well. We'll take a closer look at that when we start looking at the models. Tornado threat has not changed. Actually, it has changed. We now have 5% around here. We now have a 5% that covers Raleigh, Richmond, Baltimore, Washington, and Philadelphia. The rest of the area is a 2% in the green. Then, as far as the wind and hail threats on the eastern half of the country, that's pretty much remained the same. What I have noticed, and this 5% area, I'm expecting that. So far, there's no tornado risk over there. That could change, but I'm very doubtful, and I kind of hope it stays that way. Look to day 3, and that's when we start getting the northern plains back into the picture here as far as severe weather is concerned. A little bit unclear to me on what the hazard type is. I think you have a shot at a little bit of everything, but of course we'll have a little bit better revelation once we look at the Euro. I also have just now noticed this little marginal risk area. I think this will be the storms exiting this current storm system that's affecting the southeast and Tennessee Valley. I think this will be exiting off of the east coast here and heading out of the country. So I think this will be an earlier threat for areas around Vermont and Maine and New Hampshire, so on and so forth. But Boston, Portland, Maine, I should say. Maybe Springfield, Mass, even. You guys might need to be on the lookout for an isolated severe storm. Now, when we look to days 4 through 8, that's when things start to get really interesting, especially on day 4, because look what we have here. I haven't seen this in a minute now. This is an enhanced risk on day 4 for this area here, the northern plains. And the enhanced risk we, as of right now, have Norfolk and Sioux Falls. I'm not very confident on what the dominant hazard type is, but we will probe into that a little later into the video. But in that slight risk, which is pretty large too, we have Duluth, Minneapolis, Omaha, Lincoln. You guys are in there too. And Grand Forks are just north of this, but areas to the south here you might need to watch it. And then we even got Fargo in play. And then just to the east of Aberdeen, South Dakota, we'll have to watch you guys too. We go to day 5 and we watch this kind of stretch out a little bit, push it a little bit more to the south as well. Threat's not as focused, a little bit more predominant. This kind of has more of a damaging straight line wind look to it. But I'm a little bit concerned about day 4 simply because of how it looks. I think you're in line for a little bit of everything. Let's just hope this changes. But again, we have some of the same areas in play again. Omaha, Lincoln, Norfolk, Sioux Falls. Got Garden City areas to the east of Garden City and just to the north of Liberal as well. And this slight risk on day 5, which would be Memorial Day. So, sorry, it looks like you guys might have a very interesting Memorial Day. Might have some fireworks even. But not the kind that you shoot off. It'll be the kind that Mother Nature gives you. Then on days 6 through 8, the predictability is too low, but I get a feeling that this is only going to push a little bit further off to the east. So we'll have to watch towards the Great Lakes. I would watch more towards Chicago and Springfield, Illinois, Peoria. Maybe the Ozarks as well, as of right now. Then on days 7 and 8, your guess is as good as mine. All right, enough chit chat. Let's take a look at what this storm system might look like over the next few days, and what the pattern will continue, and what the pattern looks to be trying to continue doing, or looks to be trending towards in the future, I should say. All right, so this is our current storm system. This little bowling ball here. It's over the Ozarks. It's going to be causing more unsettled weather, also pulling in a lot of Gulf moisture and increasing the flood threat for a lot of areas in the southeast. But it's also giving some much needed rainfall to some areas that were not too long ago starting to see a bit of a deficit. So as the storm starts to lose steam and move off to the north and east, here is our next storm off that's coming onto the west coast, mainly around the northwest. This is towards Saturday night, Sunday morning. It's a pretty strong storm. Really doesn't start to get its act together until mid-Monday morning into Monday afternoon. We'll have to watch that real close, but this has a very interesting look to it. Meanwhile, the temperatures are starting to warm right back up around the south. Things look like they try to quiet down a little bit next week. Can't take that for granted. And then it looks like we have another storm system that might be trying to roll in late next week, or about maybe 10 days from now. So that's Euro right there. Let's take a look at what the radar could look like over the next 10 days. I've gone too far. And as you can see right now, just like I've been saying, we have plenty of rain ongoing right now. But also look where those areas of interest are. They're right to that southeastern quadrant of this upper level low here. That's always been a hotbed for any sort of wind shear and potentially tornadic activity. So we'll have to watch that real close. Dynamics seem to be best around that northern region now. The southern region has had its chance. The instability around that area is used up, whereas around the northern parts of the Tennessee Valley here, it's a little bit different. The Tennessee and Ohio Valley, I should say, excuse me. Going to Friday, Storms are starting to clear out of the southeast, and this pressure is starting to push a little bit further off to the north and east. This low really starts to lose steam. We have this secondary low pressure here that's begun to develop, and then I guess in a way this kind of takes over. Forms a little line of storms on Saturday, early Saturday morning. Might get a little bit unsettled weather, then some redevelopment behind it. Meanwhile, here's our new disturbance and our new catalyst for this next set of severe storms. Not much really going on there. That's going to move off quick, and then there's another low right behind it. It's going to try to even bring a little bit of winter precip towards Montana, and maybe even try to sneak into the northernmost parts of the Four Corners region. This thing really starts to get its act together into Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, and there's where we start to see our line of storms develop by early Monday morning. Maybe even in the wee hours, we might get some strong storms to pop up here. Or better yet, that's actually on Sunday night. We get a few strong storms. Doesn't have a supercellular look to it right now. Have to watch that. And then late Sunday night, that's when our line of storms develops. Definitely looks like a damaging wind threat here. Be interesting to see where the placement of this low is. And then look over here now. We're starting to get more snow again around Montana and Idaho. Have to watch that real close. It's odd because once again, today, slight risk of severe weather in this exact same area where I'm looking at now. And now we're getting some moderate to heavy snow even from the looks of it. And then this next low pressure brings a big line of storms on Monday night. Huge line of storms. And then it picks right back up around the more southern states, more southern plains, I mean. Sorry if I'm talking all over the place. Then on Friday, that's when things look a little bit more uncertain. Next week, well, actually Friday night, here we are. We see something, mainly around the central and northern plains. We'll have to see if this holds, but I don't see any reason for it not to at the moment. We go into Saturday next week. Northern plains looks like they're in line for some more action. And then going into Sunday morning, this looks to be moving off towards the Great Lakes region. Alright, so we've gotten a look at the next few storm systems. Let's take a look at the low-level jet for the next few days. Well, actually, let's take a look at the temperature. There's so many tabs up here, I'm having trouble keeping up with them all. There's one thing that, like I mentioned it in yesterday's video, but if there's one thing about this upcoming storm system, it's going to help bring these temperatures down in a lot of these areas. We'll move this along, and you can even see temperatures are just not what they were about a week ago, which is absolutely amazing for some of us. I mean, working outside, I'll tell you right now, I don't necessarily love cloudy days because sometimes they can be dreary. But whenever I'm working out there, shoot, I'd almost call this a godsend. So we'll move into Friday. Temperatures are still low, but by the weekend, it'll be business as usual. Because come Sunday, look around the southeast, we're getting back into those those low to mid 80s, upper 80s in some spots. Then on Monday, we're really starting to heat up again. Getting 80s and 90s all across the board around the eastern half of the country. And then here's our next front coming in Tuesday, starting to cool things off. Midwest looks cooler than average once again, especially around the higher elevations. Then we look on Wednesday, pretty much the same story. And then as we go towards Saturday and Sunday, we start heating back up. But it's just wave after wave of storms, and then we're just back in this process of heating and cooling and heating and cooling. Now let's take a look at the low-level jet. Okay, this time it just seems like I'm getting kicked out of the little loops here, but that's fine. So let's take a look here. Here's our low level jet and where it is currently. Here's what's most predominant. I expect to see a little bit more of a maximum popping up right around here in the coming hours. Actually, no. If anything, kind of pops up on Friday morning around here, around the central parts of the Northeast, West Virginia in particular. Be interesting to see where those storms end up going, or how those storms end up progressing. Meanwhile, we look towards the central U.S., towards the plains. We have several areas of interest where there's a small little spikes of low-level jet energy. I'll have to watch that real close. And then Sunday, things really start to pick up around the southern plains and into the central plains as well. Monday's the day that I'm real. So I do think this is a little bit too far south, though. If I were looking for severe weather around here, the low-level jet seems to be strongest around here. Still, the numbers are sufficient enough to bring some severe weather, particularly damaging straight-line winds. Not necessarily a tornado threat. We'll have to watch this unfold because it's still about 72 hours out and a lot can change. So we look at Sunday again. Monday we have a really impressive low-level wind field. There is a little bit of a surface-based shear, directional shear. But right now I'm not really picking up on anything. However, I do see the curve in a hordeograph, so this can easily change. Capes look really impressive. We're sitting at about, 2,600 joules per kilogram. More than sufficient. It's going to be a longer video. It looks like 20 minutes. The videos without 20 minutes streak ends today, I guess. Move along Monday. Low-level jet kind of dies out a little bit. Picks back up into the late evening hours. And then the early morning of Tuesday. Could be some severe weather there. And then we'll watch this all progress off to the east. Then we'll see little small surges late next weekend to late next weekend. And we'll have to watch those even closer. Now, we've taken a look at that already. I don't know why I popped that up. Now, let's take a look at the Euro here. Well, not the Euro, but let's take a look at the tropics. This kind of just tells you that even though it's been a shorter day for me at work, a little drowsy, I'm not gonna lie. We're on the wrong map right now. Here we go. Let's go to the anomaly. Let's try to see if we can sneak some kind of look at this storm that's in the eastern Pacific. Okay. So there is the 2-day probability. Actually, I'm going to take a quick look at that as well. Very messy video today, guys. I'm really sorry. Just trying to get to you guys somehow. So around the Atlantic, nothing expected right now. But if we look at the 2-day development, now we have a 70% chance of this area of interest developing into a tropical system, and then recently we are expecting it to move to the west-northwest, which, if you don't know, that's this direction. Now, whatever this does over Mexico is important, and how fast or slow it moves. If this dies out over Mexico, we have no issue. But over the last few days, I've seen run after run where it goes through this part here, holds together, and then gets into the Gulf, which could be a problem. Because we've had this little thing that's called a loop current. That loop current has almost bathwater, and the wind shear is very light around this region, so this could really help bolster tropical development, which is partially why everybody's expecting a much more active hurricane season. So let's go back to the GFS here. And you can even see a little development right here. We'll have to watch that close. This thing doesn't want to work with me here. Does it? There we go. Move this along, and there it is right there. Starts to really pick up come on the 29th. It's Sunday. And wow, look at that. I've been seeing this run for almost a week straight now, and I'm starting to really feel confident that that does hold together pretty well. Like I said, the key is, does this stall out over here, over towards the Yucatan? If this makes its way through the Yucatan, we will have to watch this. And if it has that kind of look to it, then I see no reason as to why it couldn't, unless it stalls. But that's the only real look that I have right now. But I think there's some mountains over here that may look to tear this thing apart. And if so, that could be a saving grace. And then also, it still may have to go through Cuba. And it may not even affect the United States from this look right now. The operational runs, they're hit or miss sometimes. Now, let's take a look at the euro. Let's see if there's any sort of correlation here. I'm only looking at the operational models today. I'll go a little bit more in depth into it Saturday, I think. As far as the like actually looking at a hurricane forecast, but well, these videos are probably going to be a little bit longer because I mean it just seems like there's a lot more to talk about. So hopefully you guys can bear with me. Euro has a similar look, but this thing looks like it's moving a little bit faster. Yeah, this thing definitely the euro definitely has this thing moving a little bit quicker. Let's take a look at the high res euro actually real quick. I mean, I expected to show the same thing, but we have a smaller time interval, so we get a little bit of a better idea of its progression. Excuse me. Showing a similar look. Not as strong. Well, actually, wait. Here, it's starting to really pick up here. About 81 hours out. Really starts to come in. Starts to be a little bit more pronounced. Now, the euro just has it moving a little bit quicker than the GFS does. It loses a lot of steam over Mexico, that's for sure. But it does make its way into the Gulf. And this is still going to have to be something we watch really close. It's a lot to talk about in this video, but it's a lot we've covered in this video. Hopefully, if you've watched to the end, you are a real trooper. But that's all I got for you guys tonight, or this afternoon. This has been Ty, Metalhead Weatherman. Sorry for the long video. I will see you guys tomorrow. I'll have a weekend forecast for you. But till then, you guys have a good one.